Pinkie Pie tends to be a sort of wild card in the MLP series. Whenever she's taking part in an episode, yet not as the main focus, she can be lovable, random, and highly entertaining. Yet sometimes this aspect can be taken a little too far, where her out-of-nowhere antics seem out of place rather than entertaining. And that can be a bit unfortunate for the Pinkie Pie fans who love her unexpected quips yet don't want to see her being just that. Thankfully, whenever we do have an episode that makes her the main focus, the show writers have proven their ability to balance both Pinkie Pie's random behavior while also giving the audience a chance to relate to her feelings. And I'm glad to say that Party Pooped makes for another worthy entry in the MLP series. Not fantastic, mind you, but still very enjoyable in all the right ways. The story begins with Twilight losing some of her calm and collected nature that she's built up over these past seasons. I don't know about you, but I really love seeing Twilight going back to her Lesson Zero roots from time to time, right down to the expressions.
But she's afraid of quesadillas. No, I'm not! They're just so... cheesy.
Even though another episode removing all sense of her logic would probably be going a bit too far, it's good to see the writers are willing to show a bit of her weaknesses here and there. We can't have her being a princess who always knows what the right answers are after all. The Yaks themselves are both predictable and yet still manage to have a few entertaining moments. On the one hand, they really are just like a lot of characters we've seen before, always rejecting the kind efforts of others because it's not up to their standards. And if the writers had just left it at that, then their presence in the story would really only be for the sake of the plot. But I have to admit that their over-the-top reactions were actually fun to watch every now and then. I don't know if I'd want an entire episode revolving around these Yaks, but for the good moments we were given, I think they work well enough. Especially when the prince comes up with the exact same expression that Rainbow did during Tanks for the Memories. Pinkie Pie starts doing what she does best, even to the point of reading up on everything there is to know about Yak culture. And it's really good to see that she isn't just focused on her parties because they're fun. Throughout the episode, we see her making a genuine effort not only for her own sake, but for the sake of Twilight's well-being too. Though I have to say it was immensely fun to see Pinkie Pie losing her cool in a very similar way to how Twilight does. The little bits of panic they came up with here was fantastic. But by far, the most entertaining factor of this episode is the constant randomness. It's often a good sign when there's so many little moments of, wait, what? That you have to go back and watch it again just to pick up on all the fun little tidbits. One of my personal favorites was when Twilight can't seem to figure out where Pinkie has gone off to, only for Gummy to spit out a note explaining her whereabouts. I don't know whether Pinkie really believes that Twilight would inevitably find Gummy and the note, or if Pinkie thought that she could just send a message the same way that Spike does. Or even if Pinkie, in all her random brilliance, really has figured out that Gummy has an intelligent mind of his own and trusts him to do what she needs. Any way you think about it, there's so much comedic potential in even just these few seconds. And of course, it doesn't stop there. This episode actually surprised me with how it set up the ending. At first glance, the story seems to follow a fairly predictable path where everything is going wrong and it's up to Pinkie to discover the answer. But you'd think, after all that traveling by trains, stagecoach, and mountain trails, Pinkie would discover her answer at the end of the road. I figured she'll just have to bring back a bit of the Yaks' homeland to make them feel more comfortable in Equestria. Turns out, nope. Honestly, showing that this entire trip was just going to send her right back to where she started was a little out of nowhere, but I couldn't help but laugh at Pinkie's reaction. And the final message was also a bit surprising, but in a good way. You might have thought that with all the setup of these Yaks rejecting every effort of the ponies, that the answer was all about Pinkie showing she was willing to go to any lengths to make them feel at home. And instead, the message is all about showing the Yaks how much Equestria can feel like home in a completely different way than what they're used to. And I think it works. If Pinkie hadn't put in all that effort to find something authentic for the visiting Yaks, then this final message would have felt a bit forced and out of place just to show a lesson about visitors needing to open their eyes. But this added struggle Pinkie went through, and even the rest of the main six reassuring her that she did her very best, shows us that there was a need for understanding from everyone involved. And that's a far better method to show this kind of lesson. Overall, I'd say Party Pooped is a very worthwhile entry to the series. While there were a few moments here and there which felt a bit out of sorts, there were far more moments that kept me entertained and wanting to see what would happen next. In the meantime, though, I would like to hear your thoughts. Given all of Pinkie's past appearances, do you think this sort of journey is a good step for her growth as a character? Do you believe these visiting Yaks made for a good addition to the world of Equestria? Did you enjoy seeing both Twilight and Pinkie going through a panic attack? What were your favorite standout moments? I would like to hear your thoughts on Party Pooped, and here's hoping we get even more episodes that demand a second viewing just to pick up on all the fun little tidbits. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.
There are a whole lot of sheep out there! So, do we walk back up the slide or what?